Welcome into ATL Day Ones with Jarvis and Tenitra. Coming up on today's show, are you not concerned?
And there are some OGs in Flowery Branch that might actually help QB1 to go from good to better.
And last but not least, and for the culture, Mike Vrabel out here doing some good. He made good, like the old folks used to say. It's ATL Day Ones. Let's go.
This is ATL Day Ones, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta. And it starts now.
I want to start by saying thank you for making ATL Day Ones your first listen of the day. Remember, we are free and available wherever you download your podcast, and wherever you download your podcast, make sure that you leave us a 5-star review. Really appreciate that from you in advance. ATL Day Ones is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Coming up in 10 minutes, Kyle Pitts plus Desmond Ridder. What does that look like in 2023? We'll talk about that. But first, we have to talk about the Atlanta Braves. They lose to the lowly Pittsburgh Pirates 7-6. Spencer Strider goes 2 2/3 innings, gives up 6 runs, and he just looking like a relief pitcher last night, T. And I know that, a lot of people looked at Spencer Strider and Max Fried, kind of like 1A, 1B, but he looks like 6A last night.
Yeah, and when you have Charlie Morton out there looking like he did and Bryce Elder looking like he did in the last series, that's where the concern starts to come in. And here are two things I thought about as well from a Braves country perspective, right? Mm-hmm. I can understand why Braves country might be panicking. Number one, it always goes back to things like this trigger them, one ring, 14 division titles. That's always going to trigger them, right? And then you're talking about a historic offense in the Braves. A lot of Braves country is also part of Rise Up ATL country, which means you're traumatized still by getting almost to the prize, 28-3, and then you didn't get there. So there's a legitimate, and that was one of the most historic offenses ever to grace the field in the NFL. So I can see why this fan base might be concern. What's concerning to me is you're having this happen. I get that, you have about 50 games left in the season. That's a good thing. But you're also having it happen too often to the point where consistent poor starts are starting to be more the norm or the rule than the exception, taking Max Fried out of there. But you do not want to pin all your hopes, dreams, and aspirations on a guy that just came off the 60-day IL who had exactly one stellar outing. Just one. Now, let's see what happens in his second outing. Hopefully no injury issues will happen, and we'll see him in a third outing. And then you can start to feel really, really comfortable. And there's encouragement coming for the bullpen. Dylan Lee has another rehab assignment tonight, and hopefully that will go well to get him that much closer to coming back. But I got to tell you, that was a very, very uncomfortable game to watch and listen to because, again, I said, okay, yes, you only need 3 pitchers once you get into the postseason to give you quality starts. But who are they going to be? I mean, because you still don't know what Kyle Wright is going to look like when he comes back in September. Yeah. So that's where you start to get a little bit of angina. Now, look, we're not panicking. You shouldn't be panicking either. The Braves certainly aren't. But I thought it was interesting when Brian Snitker seemed perplexed in postgame about answering what the heck he saw in Spencer Strider last night. So if the skipper can't answer it, and maybe Rick Kranitz can't answer it, I know it sure has me scratching my head and wondering if this is going to be something that we see because pitchers can just figure out Spencer Strider and say, hey, as long as we're still in this thing, even if he's up in the count, as long as we got one more pitch to hit, we can hit it. And then, hey, maybe 6 of us in a row will do the same thing. That was scary.
Yeah, I'm concerned. Like, I'm just going to be out there. That's where I am with it because you look at the last 5 stars for Spencer Strider, right? He has a 5.86 ERA, and he's 1-2. And that's not good. And I know that the strikeout thing is real. And I think Peter Moreland kind of put it into perspective, and it kind of helps you kind of visualize what Spencer Strider may be working with. Because here's the thing. It takes a lot of pitches sometimes to strike guys out, right? Like you talking about maybe a 6, 7, if you go into a full count, you go into 6 or 7 pitches, and then
foul balls
fouling all foul balls and all that stuff. you may get up, you may strike the guy out, but it may take you 10 pitches to do that. So
Right.
I think that working to try to get those strikeouts, and we know that he has the stuff to do it. I get it, I understand, but I think he needs to try to figure out how he can get easier outs.
Yes.
It's okay to let a guy pop out, you know what I'm saying, or get a ground ball. We talked about how Max Fried had 3 little measly little singles and 6 scoreless Friday against the Chicago Cubs. Yes. Those are type of things like you want an easy. He only threw like 72 pitches. So
I was going to say,
that's what I'm talking about.
Such an efficient game. Yeah.
That's such an efficient game. That's what Spencer Strider needs to work towards, because trying to strike everybody out and going to bat and everything like that can be taxing for sure.
It can, and taxing when we're now 110 games in, and that's probably all he played the entirety of his rookie season. So there may also be that fatigue factor coming in, because this will be his first full Major League Baseball season, and you're coming against the best of the best, and there's a lot of pressure on you to, you get your 5 days and that's it. Like we can't actually, rarely will he get that extra 6 days somehow in the rotation to rest his arm. And so, if you're out there pitching 6 and 7 times to get a batter out, and then you're doing that multiple times, by the 3rd inning, you very well may have worn yourself down to the point where, that last ball could have possibly been a strike, but it was such a weak strike that that batter could make contact. And then they just did that over and over again. And so you kind of had to get him out of there. But of course, Michael Tompkin was able to at least only hold it to 1 run.
That was encouraging.
That was very encouraging. And the Braves bats did what they could. I mean, they got him right down to the 9th inning until what I think is Austin Riley, who struck out, or grounded out, if you will. So that piece is still encouraging, the fact that they were able to be down 6-0 and battled almost all the way back. But again, we got to get back to seeing the Braves do it in every way. And we talked about this yesterday, Jarvis. This is becoming too much of a consistent conversation too. And that's those defensive miscues. That is very, very unlike the Braves.
Yes, Orlando RC, like that is, you need, that's what you in there for.
That's what got you that job, not you at the plate. Yeah, that's what got you that job. And then we talked about this yesterday as well, what we have been seeing out of Eddie Rosario, or not seeing, and who could possibly bring some relief. And unfortunately, Sam Hilliard had a little bit of a setback. So yesterday, so there's not an idea of truly when he might return. Yes, you might have a Kevin Pillar or whatever, but like you said yesterday, he has certain assignments, we'll call it, in what his responsibilities are to this team. So everybody, I feel like this is, and I'll say this and be clear, it's a concern, not a worry, not a stress, not a wigging out, right? But from an objective standpoint, this might be that moment where you have that players conversation, right? That all players conversation where we all have a come to Jesus moment and say, okay, it starts with me. What do I need to do a little bit better to help this team get back on track? I think that might be where we are as well.
And you know what? And Brian Snitker has done that in the past too, T, and turned things around. So I think that whether it be a player conversation or a managerial conversation, say, hey guys, like we're on the, and especially you're on the road, so you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time to have one of those come to Jesus moments, like you said, because and I think that you mentioned something that kind of really stood out to me. You talking about like the whole of those guys, Bryce Elder, Charlie Morton, and Spencer Strider, like who is going to be. Like, maybe these guys are taxed, T. Maybe these guys are tired. Like you mentioned, Spencer Strider, first full season. Charlie Morton, he's old.
39.
He's 39 years old. He just...
Bryce Elder may be coming back to earth.
Yeah, Bryce Elder may be coming back to earth. That whole mental piece, right? Because something's going on, something quite not right. Or he just doesn't have the stuff to be a full season, a starter type guy. So these are some of the questions that are starting to come to my mind now, too, that, we are, like you said, we're late in the season, second half of the season. The Braves are kind of flailing a little bit. Like, if they aren't jumping out on you right away, we don't know what the starting pitcher is going to do. We don't know if he's going to be able to hold it down right now. And like you said, we're in August right now, September, and then October.
Yes.
October, we have to figure out a way to be ready. And I don't know if the Braves are ready at this moment. I want to let you know that this episode of ATL Day Ones is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It is the #1 sportsbook in America. Guess what, guys? They got a special deal for all you first-timers out there. You looking to bet on Major League Baseball? How about this? Go to FanDuel.com because it's the #1 source for all Major League Baseball bets. Because guess what? You can bet on anything from the money line, the over/under, who's going to hit the first home run, Spencer Strider out here giving it up, Charlie Morton out here giving it up, Bryce Elder out here giving it up. You might want to bet against the Braves. That's kind of how I'm feeling right now. I'm in my feels about my team. I don't know what's going on. But here's the thing. For you first timers, all you got to do is drop $20, and you're going to get it up to $200 in bonus bets back if your bet doesn't win or lose. It doesn't matter. The app is safe, secure, super easy to use. You don't have to worry about anybody getting your information. So here's what I want you to do. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. LOCKEDON, and take advantage of the up to $200 in bonus bets back if your bet win or lose. And guess what? FanDuel is the official sportsbook betting partner of Major League Baseball.
It is official that the Falcons are now where they want to be, which is not competing against each other. They are in Miami for joint practices with the Dolphins today and tomorrow, of course, ahead of Friday's game, the first preseason game of this year. And it's exciting because now, Jarvis, we went from OTAs where literally it's just the underwear Olympics to the first part of training camp where you get to see a little more action and then the pads come on and then you really start to kind of see that separation, if you will. But we know that the defense also always kind of projects or produces, if you will, a little bit faster, right? You see more results like, whoa, they're so much farther ahead of the offense.
Go get ball, go tackle, play this coverage.
Right, exactly. That simple from the former D lineman. That's simple, right, Jarvis? Well, when you talk about X's and O's with the offense, it's a little bit more complex, if you will, and getting that timing right, for example, especially in the receiving game. So Kyle Pitts recently talked about that very thing and how his relationship in his second year working with Desmond Ritter is definitely improving. And you look at that combination, we talk all the time about the Drake London, Desmond Ritter, the 9 to 5, if you will, Ritter to London. And then we talk about all of the excitement around the new toy, Bijan Robinson, and what Desmond Ritter can do with the new toy. But what about the OG toy? Yep, I'm calling him the OG toy. And KP, right? KP is ready. Yes. He's back. He tweeted even last week like, yep, won't find me on the pup list. And that said to me, my guy is motivated because he does not talk a lot, but when he speaks, that's him letting you know he's coming for you. So that said, is that Ritter-Pitts connection maybe going to be the thing that low-key takes this offense to the next level?
Well, I'll start this way. The answer to that question is yes. But I think it's going to be a little delayed because even though I feel, Kyle Pitts looks like he's 100%, I really feel like I haven't seen the Kyle Pitts from, his rookie season. Yeah. Because we know that last year he was dealing with some injuries and everything like that. And of course, he was dealing with a bad quarterback that couldn't get in the ball. Right. That guy. We're not gonna say his name anymore on this show. He's done here. One. So it's one. He was dealing with one. So that 1 to 8 conversation, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So I think that if once he's fully healthy and back on the field and comfortable, within that injury, because we know it takes time for guys to get not only be 100% ready to go on the field, but once you get on the field, you get comfortable and running routes and making certain cuts and taking a certain hit that's kind of similar to how you got hurt. Because we know we were questioning, that safety, who had hit Kyle Pitts because you're like, man, that's kind of low, dude. Like, but hey, that's the only way he can go. So I think that when you get onto the field and you start taking those hits like that, then you're like, okay, all right, I'm good now. Then you start getting better. And then once that happens, I feel like if that can happen in preseason, but I got a sneaky feeling in my gut, T, that we ain't going to see Kyle Pitts in the preseason. If we do, it's going to be very, very limited. So I think that in order for this offense to go to this next level, like you mentioned, I think that connection has to be real, right? Because everybody has to be an option. If you're talking about a question, if you have a question at quarterback, everybody has to respect that the fact that, hey, we know that we've put on tape that you can go to Drake London.
Yeah.
You got to be able to put on tape that you can go to Kyle Pitts. You got to be able to put on tape that you can go to Mac Hollins. You got to be able to put on tape that you can go to Bijan
Scotty
Robinson.
Miller and
you're
Scotty
right. Miller. So all of those weapons that you have and everybody's ranting and raving about, we got to be able to see those connections and see that you have the rapport with those guys. And I think it starts with Kyle Pitts for sure.
I think so as well. And I think that I agree with you partially. I do think that, well, I'm hoping, because we just don't know. We'll see Friday, but we're looking to see whether or not KP gets some snaps. I do agree, however, that if he does, they're going to be very, very limited. And it really probably will just be, hey, we just want to see some real game action versus just simulation, even in joint practices. So I definitely think that there may be some iterations where we get to see the 9 to 8, that particular combo. And I'd like to see, because I want to see if Kyle Pitts thinks that relationship and the communication around it is improving, then I'd love to actually see what that looks like. Now, speaking of, part of what could be helpful in Ridder understanding how to, for example, communicate with his receiving core, we'll call it, whether that's your wide receivers, your tight ends, or even your pass catchers out of the backfield. Sometimes it's great to have guys who've been there and done that, and nobody's greater. Yes, Jarvis and I will tell you that every time you listen to ATL Day Ones, that nobody's greater for that franchise than Matt Ryan, to be able to teach you all of the fundamentals of how to go from good to great as a quarterback. So, of course, last week, I believe it was Legends Day, if you will, and all of the luminaries came out last week, including Matt Ryan, who had the ice cubes with him, which was such a cool thing to see. But I think the other piece there is the fact that he was there making himself available to Desmond Ridder and just saying, hey, if there's anything you need, any way I can help you, let me know. The other thing I like about the Falcons move is this. Matt Schaub, another guy who's a veteran and definitely had some high points in his career, maybe not so much with Falcons, but in other stops along the way in his career. Last week, the Falcons made him a part of their coaching staff as a football analyst. And that might be really important in terms of learning how to prepare game plans, helping Ridder to understand how to break down opponents and break down film. But for you, how important is it to Ridder's development that he has players like Matt Ryan and Matt Schaub around him to help him to get to that next level, but also help him to understand how to get there within the Falcons culture?
To be honest with you, T, like the first thing that came to mind when you brought it up is how Bryce Young and how he's been surrounded with every single asset tool that you could possibly think of from a coach's standpoint. Because you have a former quarterback in Josh McCown who was on that staff. You got Thomas Brown, who's a former player, running back OC. Probably one of the hottest assistant coaches, a guy who's probably going to be up for a head coaching gig if things all go well this year. And, and of course, you got your head coach and Frank Reich. So those, when you talk about that triangle right there, right? Like you surrounding him with all the talent and former players as well. So I think that's key as well, because I was talking to Jesse Bates and he was talking about Coach Gray and how you deal with coaches in a certain way. Yeah. When they, you respect them in a certain way when they've accomplished certain things and done a lot of things as a coach. But he said it hits a little different when that guy has played the game as well and played the position that he's teaching. He said it's just different. And I think that when you have a guy like a Matt Schaub who's coming in, who's going to be willing to give you all of his time, because football analyst is a broad term, right? Okay, what does that entail? So that means to me, like, he can make that whatever he wants to, as far as spending time with Desmond Ridder and really investing in him and try to see how he can kind of elevate him to that next level, as he gets ready to become a full-time starter in the NFL. So I think this is good. I think this can be nothing but beneficial to a guy like Desmond Ridder, and also having the vet, Mr. Matt Ryan himself, coming in offering his time as well. I think he can do nothing but benefit. So you're surrounding that young quarterback with all of the assets and all of the resources that you can possibly surround him with, because at the end of the day, it has to work. And I think that you give him all the tools, and if it doesn't work, hey, you kind of go back to the drawing board, and try to see what's next.
Right. And Matt Ryan is one who is unique as well because he's seen a lot of the things that Desmond Ridder has seen just in terms of, oh, wow, I have Drake London and whoever the heck lines up on the other side. I'm just going to say it that way because
right.
Drake London is the rest
Mac
of y'all.
Hollins.
Right. But,
Yeah.
But what if Mac Hollins shows like the Falcons think he can? Then it might actually look like, and again, I want to be very loose with this because this is a loose comparison, but Matt Ryan can talk about what are the challenges that you might face because he had Julio Jones and he had Roddy White and they had to figure out how to work through. And of course you got two superstars arguably with that tandem. But my point being learning how to see, okay, this is what Roddy's strong suit is, right? And so these are the situations where I'm like, I'm going to my guy. Oh, this is where who is going to be, this is his best place. So that's where I'm going to go with who. I think those are some critical points as well. Or if you have pass catchers, and I would defer to you as someone who's a longtime Falcons fan as to, who might have been the best pass catcher back in that day. I don't know, would it be Ward Dunn or, which one of those pass catchers, but somebody that Matt Ryan can say, hey, I had a pass catcher as well. And I learned how to incorporate him into making us positionless football before it was ever a term or a thing. So yeah, I really like that fact. And finally, I think that the elephant in the room is it takes all of the stress and kind of the tension away from, okay, Matt Ryan is kind of out there as a free agent. Yes, he is technically signed with CBS Sports, but this says to me, the Falcons organization is honoring and recognizing the best to ever suit up in that uniform and saying, hey, yeah, we know it didn't end that well, but we're bringing you back with open arms, maybe in a consultant space. But I think that's also a very positive thing because it's almost like an unofficial passing of the mantle from Matt to Desmond.
Yeah, and when you think about it, Arthur Blank, this is all part of his plan.
Yes.
I'm sure he's heading this because, not to say that Arthur Smith is against it because he has reverence for, working with Matt in 2021 specifically because, it was bad. They made what is lemonade out of lemons.
Right. Or as Matt Ryan said in The Athletic, it was an ish show up in Indy that Frank Reich couldn't make work, but Arthur Smith made an ish work up in Flowery Branch.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that this is good for Matt. This can be nothing but beneficial to Desmond Ridder because he is QB1, and as many people you can surround around him to help him be successful, do it. Make it happen because I really feel like, if Desmond Ridder is serviceable to you, like this offense has the opportunity to do some really good things in 2023.
Indeed. Well, we are going to be looking, but hey, everydayers, what do you guys think about the fact that Matt Ryan is back and offering to be a support system for Desmond Ridder, that Matt Schaub is back in the fold as well as a football analyst? How important can that be? What do you guys think about the importance of KP and Desmond Ridder getting together and connecting to make that offense successful? Drop a comment in the chat. You guys know what to do when you check us out on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to download ATL Day Ones wherever you download your podcasts.
But T, this is For the Culture. It is the intersection between sports, entertainment, the culture, and sometimes whatever the hell we want to talk about. Because that's just how we get down on this show. Today is no different. T, when we think about, minority head coaches in the NFL, we seem like we've been struggling with this thing for at least the past decade or so, a decade and a half or so. And it seems like the shining face for it is your guy, Mike Tomlin of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and his longevity and being the longest tenured coach in the NFL today. But I think that when you talk about being intentional in your actions and when it comes to diversity, because that's the only way we're going to get there, I think Mike Vrabel kind of has kind of done that because he announced that assistant head coach and D-line coach Terrell Williams will serve as the Titans head coach versus the Bears on Saturday. He said he will be assisting, but you got to think that this has to be great exposure for Coach Williams to be able to be the head coach during preseason and say, you know what, this guy may be able to do the job.
Yeah, I like the blueprint that Mike Vrabel is setting because this is really a great precedent.
Yep.
Exactly. Personally, I like, first of all, his title, assistant head coach. So that's kind of putting him above and beyond just that coordinator's title, if you will, or coaching of a specific group only, right? Same way here with Jerry Gray as an assistant head coach here with Arthur Smith. That AHC title just hits different. And so I think that's a good look. But Mike Vrabel, I love, is taking it a step further and saying, hey, there are 3 great opportunities. These are the most critical games. These are the most critical points leading up to the regular season, because outside of maybe specific positions that are etched in stone, like a Derrick Henry, for example, there are positions, starting positions that are up for grabs. In some cases, the too deep, right, is up for grabs, and who's going to be that actual second person. To say that you're going to have your assistant head coach in Terrell Walker to be that person, Williams, yeah. T-W. For you to say that you're going to have him to be that chief evaluator of that talent that's going to follow you into the regular season when that final roster is determined, I think that is just absolutely amazing. And in the press conference, one of the reporters said, okay, so is something wrong, Coach Vrabel? Is there, are you not going to be? And before that person could finish, he interjected and said, no, I'm going to be there. Nothing is wrong. I'm fine. This is a choice that I'm making to give Coach an opportunity to be able to show his skill set and his value to the organization. He's going to be running the show. So I love the fact that he said, let me stop you right there. There's no problem. Nothing's wrong with me. I'm not going to be off somewhere doing something else, or I'm sick or what have you. I'm going to be right there. But this guy's running the show. I really love to see it.
Yeah, same here. Because here's the thing. Like, one thing that we learned, that the NFL does whatever the hell they want to do. Just like we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about for the culture, the NFL does what they want to do as well. And when you think about this, the idea of this, like it just really speaks to, like, this can be better than what it already is, or what we've been able to accomplish so far. Like you said, talking about Tomlin being the face of it, but, we need more. Like, we need more guys like Mike Tomlin saying, hey, this is a great story. This is how this guy's been able to, hold it down for so long and be so successful.
And even Bruce Arians was the face of it as it relates to hiring female coaches. Now, nobody really paid attention to it when he was with the Cardinals, because, Arizona was really not that great of a team. But when he took over the Bucs and brought women in, on the coaching staff, on the conditioning staff, that's when all of a sudden people paid attention. And he was quite successful and always made you understand 2 things. Number one, that those women were just as critical and just as crucial to the success of the Bucs as any other member of his staff. And number 2, he then backed that up with the hiring of a Todd Bowles and the hiring of a Byron Leftwich, and then basically gave a cosign on Todd Bowles to take over as the Bucs head coach. Again, those are instances and opportunities where you could actually take action, and it's not just words, but you're backing it up with something. So Mike Tomlin, he stands by it. He has been doing it for years quietly. Bruce Arians is another one who's doing it. And it's just good to see Mike Vrabel taking the stand as well.
Yeah, and I think that, hopefully this sets a precedent, for other coaches to do so as well, because this is the thing, like, because I'm really keeping my eye on this whole Washington Commanders situation when it comes to Eric Bieniemy, right? Because I just, like, that irks me, T. Like, the fact that he hasn't even had a chance to fail. Like, a lot of people, have ruled him out and deemed him not worthy to be a head coach, when that pretty much every dang on OC for the Kansas City Chiefs has gone on to be a head coach, and some have failed, and some have, been gone on to be successful. And Doug Peterson, he ended up winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles. So all of these things kind of like play out the way I feel like this is something that you're going to have to definitely keep an eye on. But I hope Eric Bieniemy, does really well up in Washington, so he can finally get that up. But shout out to Mike Vrabel for doing what he's doing. And he's, as the old folks say, he out there making some good.
I love it. Well, you know what? We sure hope the Braves make some good tonight, because it is really kind of painful when you literally have to watch the guy that most would say would be the second ace of the Braves look like he shouldn't even be in the starting rotation. We understand it was just one game, but it did make us pause a little. So we hope that when we come back and talk to you guys Wednesday, that we are talking about a dub with the Braves. More, of course, feedback and reaction from the first joint practice between the Falcons and Dolphins, and anything else that happens on this Atlanta sports landscape. You better stop right here to get all the tea.
Last but not least, share love, show love, and most importantly, spread some love.